Welcome to Defensive Alpha podcast series for SOC analysts. Defensive Alpha here, and with me is Skylar.
Hey everyone, great to be here.
Today, we're diving deep into something, well, absolutely fundamental for every single SOC analyst, the Cyberkill chain. You could almost say it's the very heart of understanding our role.
Oh, absolutely. It's foundational stuff. Understanding this whole attack life cycle, it's crucial before we even start talking about handling incidents properly.
Exactly. It helps us figure out not just what happened, but the how and the why behind an attack.
Yeah, knowing the steps. It gives us vital clues when we're investigating, right? Like how far did the attacker actually get?
And what systems could they potentially access?
Right.
What data is at risk? All those critical questions.
Right. So understanding this chain is key.
So let's do it. Let's break down each of the 7 stages. We'll talk about what to look for at each point. Stage 1, reconnaissance.
Okay, reconnaissance.
Yeah.
This is the attacker's initial scouting phase. They're picking a target, could be you, and just gathering information, like intelligence gathering.
Like casing the joint, basically.
Pretty much. And they use both passive and active methods to do this.
Okay, so passive first. What does that involve? Just looking around online?
Yeah, essentially. Exploring publicly available stuff, things like LinkedIn profiles, the company's own website, partner information, even job advertisements.
Wait, job ads? Seriously? How can they get useful info from a job ad?
You'd be surprised. Job ads can leak details about the tech stack. You know, the kind of antivirus they use, the operating systems, maybe even specific network gear. It all builds a picture.
Huh. That's, yeah, that's more than you'd think.
It really is. And info about partners can hint at, like supply chain vulnerabilities or other ways in. It's quite eye-opening what's just out there.
So here's a thought for everyone listening. What are some other, maybe less obvious public sources an attacker might use for reconnaissance? Maybe targeting a specific industry, like, say, healthcare. Drop your ideas in the comments.
Good question. And then, of course, there's the active information gathering.
Right, that sounds a bit more intrusive.
It is. This is where they're more direct. Things like actively scanning the organization's external web applications, looking at their public IP addresses. They're actively probing for weaknesses.
Looking for open doors or windows, essentially.
Yep, exactly. Any vulnerability they might be able to exploit later on.
Okay, makes sense. So they've done their homework. Stage 2 is weaponization. Sounds ominous.
It is where things get serious. Here, the attacker takes all that intel they gathered and actually crafts their weapon. Usually that means malware.
And they combine this malware with an exploit.
Right, an exploit to take advantage of a vulnerability and also a delivery method, how they're actually going to get that weapon to the target.
And this initial malware is probably not designed to be loud and obvious, is it?
Not usually, no. Often it's small, very stealthy, designed specifically to try and sneak past those first lines of defense, the antivirus, the EDR solutions.
And they might even tailor it based on what they learned during Recon, like targeting the specific AV you use.
That's definitely possible, yeah. More sophisticated attackers will absolutely do that. It increases their chances of success.
Wow. So the main goal here is just getting that first little foothold inside the network.
That's the core objective. Gain initial remote access to one compromised machine within the target environment. And critically, they want that access to be persistent.
Meaning it survives a reboot.
Exactly. Survives reboots and gives them the ability to download and run more tools later if they need to.
Okay, the weapon's ready. Stage 3, delivery. Getting it to the victim.
Right. How does that weapon actually arrive? There are a few common ways.
I'm guessing phishing emails are still high on the list. With like malicious attachments or links.
Absolutely. Still incredibly common, unfortunately. Those links might go to a site hosting the payload, or maybe a fake login page trying to steal credentials. Classic stuff.
Still works far too often. And what about social engineering? Like phone calls?
Oh yeah, that's huge. Attackers calling up victims, maybe pretending to be IT support and tricking them into typing a link or running a file, often hosted on sites that look legitimate, maybe even mimicking the company's own branding.
That's clever and pretty scary. What about physical delivery? Like finding a USB stick in the parking lot. Does that still happen?
It's less common than phishing, but yeah, it's still a vector. Dropping infected USB drives, hoping curiosity gets the better of someone.
And the crazy part is, often all it takes is the user double-clicking something, right? An executable, a script file.
Yep. Files like .exe, .bat, .cmd, .bbs, .js, even .hta files. Minimal user interaction needed. It's kind of unbelievable how effective that still is sometimes.
I know, right? Okay, so the payload's been delivered. Stage 4, exploitation. This is the boom moment.
This is it. This is when the exploit code actually runs or the payload gets triggered. The attacker's aim here is simple: execute their code on the target system.
To gain that initial access or control we talked about?
Exactly. By taking advantage of that software vulnerability or maybe tricking the user, they get their code running.
Okay, they're in. But they need to stay in. Stage 5, installation.
Right. Getting that first foothold isn't enough. They need to install things to maintain their presence, to persist.
And this involves techniques like droppers.
Yeah, droppers are often used. Small bits of code whose only job is really to download and install the actual, more fully featured malware, like a setup program for the bad stuff.
Gotcha. And then backdoors. Those sound nasty.
They are. A backdoor is malware that basically gives the attacker ongoing hidden access. So even if the original way in gets fixed, they can still get back into the system.
Like leaving a secret key under the mat.
Kind of, yeah. And then you have rootkits. These are really stealthy.
Designed to hide everything.
Precisely. They try to conceal the attacker's presence and their activities from the operating system itself and from security tools. They operate deep down, making them super hard to find.
So all these installation techniques are about ensuring they don't get kicked out easily.
Exactly. Persistence is key for them at this stage.
Okay, they're installed, they're persistent. Stage 6, command and control, CNC. This is where they phone home.
That's a good way to put it. They establish a communication channel back to their own infrastructure from the compromised machine. It's the remote control link.
Allowing them to send commands and pull data back.
Yep. They can use this channel to download more tools, run scripts, basically manage the compromised system remotely. And something interesting here.
Yeah.
Advanced attackers often don't rely on just one piece of malware or one CNC channel. They'll deploy multiple types, create redundancy.
So if we find and remove one piece, they still have others.
Exactly. It makes cleanup much harder for us. They have fallback options. That's where it gets really tricky.
That is sophisticated. Okay, final stage, stage 7, actions on objectives. This is the end game.
This is the end game. This is what the attacker was trying to achieve all along, their ultimate goal.
And that goal could be lots of different things, right? Stealing data seems like a big one.
Oh, definitely. Data exfiltration, stealing sensitive information is super common. But it could also be about gaining deeper network access, like domain admin rights, or disrupting operations.
Or ransomware, which we hear so much about.
Right. Encrypting the victim's data and demanding payment, which, by the way, we generally advise not paying.
Yeah, it doesn't guarantee you get the data back, and it just encourages them.
Exactly. But the point is, the potential damage at this final stage, it can be enormous, potentially catastrophic for an organization.
So those are the 7 stages. But you mentioned earlier, it's not always a straight line A to B to C.
Yeah, definitely not. Attackers often loop back. For instance, after they achieve installation on one machine.
It might go back to reconnaissance.
Precisely. But this time, it's internal reconnaissance. From that compromised machine, they start mapping out the internal network, looking for other valuable systems to target, figuring out how to move laterally.
Ah, okay, so they repeat the process from inside. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's iterative.
So for us, as SOC analysts, the main goal has to be breaking this chain as early as absolutely possible.
That's the key takeaway. The sooner we detect and interrupt the attack at any stage, the less damage they can ultimately do. Early detection, early prevention is always best.
And really understanding each stage helps us anticipate what they might do next, right? It helps us put better defenses in place, improve detection.
And makes our incident response much more effective. We know what kind of evidence to look for based on where we think they are in the chain.
So another question for the audience. Thinking about these stages, which one do you think is often the most challenging for defenders, for SOC analysts, to actually detect? And why? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments.
It's a good question because each stage presents unique challenges. That structure, though, helps us think like the adversary.
So there you have it, a deep dive into the cyberkill chain. Hopefully this gives you a clearer picture of that whole attack lifecycle and, crucially, how we fit into defending against it.
Yeah, understanding these stages, it really is the bedrock for effective incident response, for proactive threat hunting.
Yeah.
It all starts here.
Absolutely. Feel free to drop your questions in the comments below. We'll be happy to answer them.
Please do.
Stay tuned and make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a lesson with Defensive Alpha.